What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Shy Bears Blitz podcast. I'm Abdul. I'm here with Omar. We've got a great episode for you guys today.
So for today, we're just going to be talking about some undrafted free agents that the Bears got after the draft. We're going to talk about Damiere Byrd, the new free agent acquisition that we got from the Patriots. We're going to have a new series called Core Rank Series where you talk about skill positions, compare them with the NFC North. We're going to talk about news on what happened in the past week, including what happened with Matt Nagy's press appearances and how Justin Fields was in the past week as his first week as a Bear.
All right, I'm excited. Let's get right into it.
Let's go.
So for our undrafted free agents, I've liked the undrafted free agents. Obviously, there's not much notoriety among them, but I like some of the picks. As we know, we got Charles Snowden, who's an edge out of Virginia.
So he's the one I really liked. He came from Virginia Cavaliers. He had a round 4 projection, so I don't know how he dropped to be undrafted. He had 6 sacks, 44 tackles, 1 forced fumble. So he's proven that he can sort of disrupt that defensive line. He's a solid outside linebacker, but they sort of say he's more of an edge than an outside linebacker. So that means I doubt he goes out in coverage. But I think this is a solid pickup for us, especially for depth. I don't expect him to come in right away or even towards this season at all. I think that he's sort of more of just a raw project pick for us, and to see if throughout the years if he could just grow in and mold into a decent edge rusher that we need him to be.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we have Khalil Mack, who's one of the best edge rushers in the league. We also have Robert Quinn, who is not one of the best edge rushers in the league, but we're hoping that he'll bounce back and have a better year. And then we also, in free agency, we got Jeremiah Adeochu from the Denver Broncos. So I think we're pretty stacked, or we're good on that position. We're very abundant in that position. He's definitely a raw project that we can take on, and him being around for projection, it's kind of crazy how he fell. Like you've seen that a lot through this draft. Another person that I wanted the Bears to pick up was Dylan Moses, who was a linebacker, because, we need linebacker depth. But I think that focusing on defense, which we definitely did in this undrafted free agency spree, was pretty decent. But I also like that we focused on offense. There were several offensive linemen that we took in the undrafted free agent market. And we also took a running back that I think you said that Thomas Graham Jr. was your guy. I really like C.J. Marable. He came out of Coastal Carolina, and last year he had 169 attempts for 887 yards and 12 touchdowns. Obviously, we drafted Khalil Herbert last draft in one of the later rounds, but I think that he could come in, and most of the coverage about C.J. Marable came from Jacob Infante, who's a great follow on Twitter. He's one of the Bears, or he's not associated with the Bears, but he follows Bears projected draft picks and even covers them. He has a lot to say about C.J. Marable. He's shifty. He has pretty good stats. He's averaging about a little over 5 yards a carry, and that Coastal Carolina offense is not very notable. So I think this is another raw prospect to add to our running back room. But overall, I like the direction that we've been heading in this undrafted free agent market.
I agree, and we did need some raw prospects to go. I mean, Ryan Pace does like his prospects, raw prospects, even though that sounds kind of off, but he does like it. I mean, when we got Travis Gibson last year, he was a raw prospect. We didn't expect him to come in and do anything for us last year. He's sort of molding him to be, maybe in a couple of years he'll be good, because that's how Bilal Nichols was. When we drafted Bilal Nichols, he was a raw prospect, and then look at him last year, he balled out after a few years. So that's what we're just kind of hoping with these guys. We're just kind of hoping they'll be sort of that raw prospect type of player. They can, over the years, they'll grow and mold to be better players for us, and maybe even start or just be solid depth.
True.
Something I really liked is that we did get a few offensive linemen in the draft, or as an undrafted free, and during the undrafted free agency spree. So that, I think that's just going to start a whole more competition towards us, because we know Ryan Pace did also like bringing in people for competition, like we did for the kickers, where we just had the kicker competition. Then we had the tight ends last year, and I mean, our kicker situation worked out. Our tight end situation worked out last year. We had a solid tight end group with Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet. And hopefully this solves our offensive line competition group, or our offensive line group. So,
no, I 100% agree.
Yeah,
I think that he addressed it in the draft. He took Larry Borum and he took Tevin Jenkins. So he's addressed offensive tackle in the draft. And then he's also gone broader offensive line in the undrafted free agency spree. So I think that Pace is having a solid offseason, like in this aspect.
I think that Charles Stone really just puts the icing on the cake for the just the draft offseason type thing. So it was really good in my opinion, and I'm kind of happy we got him because he was supposed to go round four to round six. I mean, it's crazy how he didn't go. So
Hmm.
it's definitely pretty good. So moving on from undrafted free agents, I want to talk about a free agent pickup that we got, which I really like, is Demir Bird. This guy is an absolute speedster, and I honestly believe he can take over that wide receiver three position, which also means I also believe Anthony Miller is gone.
Oh, this definitely spells bad news for Anthony Miller because we've heard so many reports about Anthony Miller. The Bears are shopping him. They have talked to other teams about trading him, and we've heard this report multiple times from Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport. It is clear that the Bears are not happy with Anthony Miller, and that is even more solidified when you think about the other receivers that we brought in. We took in Marquise Goodwin, who on a 1 year deal, who could be the wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. And then we also last week got Demir Bird. So they're both going to be competing for that wide receiver 3 position, as wide receiver 1 is Robinson, and then wide receiver 2 is Darnell Mooney. So they're both going to be competing for that position, but then where is Miller going to go? That begs the question.
I mean, he doesn't have that work ethic. Anthony Miller, we all know he didn't have that work ethic. We had all had high hopes for him after his rookie season,
Mm-hmm.
but he plays like he's immature. I mean, he is immature. He doesn't have any work ethic. Demir Bird, from what I've seen between the Cardinals fans, because he was with the Cardinals at first and he went with the Panthers, or vice versa, and then he ended up with the Patriots, is that he has solid work ethic, which is really good. And I honestly think he'll just be a better Anthony Miller, and he'll just strive to be better because now he's under Allen Robinson, so Allen Robinson will definitely help him out with like that veteran quarterback one presence. But Demir Bird, who do you have throwing to him in New England? It
Cam
Cam Newton
Newton.
and backups
Mm-hmm.
throwing to him, and he
Jarrett
got 600.
Stidham.
Yeah, Chase did, and he got 604 yards and 47 receptions, which is solid. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's not like wide receiver one, wide receiver two. We're not expecting him to put up be a wide receiver one to wide receiver two. We're expecting him to maybe step in and be that wide receiver three for us, or that wide receiver four. Of course, it's going to bring up that competition between him and Marquise Goodwin. They're both speedsters. I mean, Marquise Goodwin ran a 4.27, a 40, um, and Damian Bird ran a 4.28. So they're both just similar speeds. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Marquise Goodwin is a little older, I think, than Damian Bird, but they're both still extremely fast. So if they compete in the wide receiver three or wide receiver four, I mean they're both still solid. So they can be equal, just equal receivers in wide receiver three, wide receiver four. Anthony Miller, I think, is gone
Mm-hmm.
because I think Riley Ridley, his brother, Riley Ridley is a solid receiver for us, but he hasn't really proven himself
Mm-hmm.
because I mean they don't put him out on the field.
Yeah, he doesn't
But
get too many snaps.
I think he's a solid wide receiver five. I think Javon Wims is out. I don't think Javon Wims is coming back. I think Anthony Miller's out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to come back because we did get Daz Newsome, who looked solid in the draft. So I think he's going to be in there too. So I got just the 40-yard times comparing between the people we have in our offense, which we have Mooney runs a 4.38, Goodwin runs a 4.27, Bird runs a 4.28, Daz Newsome ran a 4.5, Cohen ran a 4.42, and Khalil Herbert ran a 4.51. And I think
And then
David
Justin Fields
Montgomery
ran a 4.44 with
and
stumbling.
Justin Fields ran a 4.44 and he stumbled. And David Montgomery was like this our slowest person, and you're on like a what, like a 4.6,
Yeah, 4.6
or
around that
4.46.
range. So that's kind of crazy when the
It's just
slowest one is a running back and he's in the 4.6 range. Like we have so many speedsters. I've seen people
speedsters.
call this the Legion of Zoom.
Yeah, we I think we have one of the fastest just groups in
Oh,
our of
definitely.
offensive pieces in the league. Besides the Chiefs, I think
Hmm.
if anybody, we're just competing with the Chiefs, and that's about it.
The Chiefs, when they're drafting wide receivers, all they look at is 40 times. They're like, oh, Mecole Hardman,
Yeah,
what's his 40 time? And then they're gonna draft him. But I
yeah,
like the wide receiver core that we've been bringing in. I think it's solid.
I
Pace has
agree.
been making moves, taking advantage of the COVID salary cap, signing all of these players, and these players are getting signed to like 1 year, $1 million deals. So he's boosting up the offense, going offensive line, building up the receiver core and building up the running back core because we knew that both of those were a problem last year with the running back core being spread completely thin and Cordell Patterson being the running back too. And then we
Yeah,
also, our wide receiver core, it was pretty much just A-Rob and Mooney. That's it.
yeah. And what we didn't have, Anthony Miller didn't step up.
Yeah, true.
Javon Wims, we all know what happened with him. He didn't really do anything. Cordell
Hmm.
Patterson, when put in the receiver position, of course he had like some nice catches, but other times it just wasn't there. Um, David Montgomery was solid in the receiving game for us, but we were also missing Tariq Cohen in the receiving game, which was also a problem. Jimmy Graham was an end zone threat, but he was rarely used outside of the end zone. Cole Kmet was rarely used in general. Um, So with this now, with we have a solid wide receiver group with Alvin Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Marquise Goodwin, Demir Bird, and company. I think we have a solid wide receiver group, and running back group.
Hmm.
What does this mean for Matt Nagy though? Is that he has no more excuses.
He
He
doesn't.
has to prove it to himself. He has to prove to us, and the NFL as a whole, that he has his. He likes speedsters. He likes
Hmm.
it Chiefs type offense where it's just all speedsters.
Hmm.
So he has his quarterback. With Justin Fields. He has his receivers. He has his running back with David Montgomery because he didn't like Jordan Howard, so we cut him, and then we got David Montgomery, which is the running back that he liked. So we have his running back, and so he has everything he needs for the offense. It's all on Matt Nagy now. All eyes are on Matt Nagy.
Hmm.
If he doesn't perform, he's out. Midseason, he's out. He should be out. No hesitation, no thoughts about it.
About that, saying mid-season, I agree that if he's not performing, he won't. He should be cut or he should be fired mid-season. But that's not a trending thing with the Bears. The Bears always love to fire head coaches at the end of the season. So I think that even if he's not what we expect him to be, because he's going into this year, I think this is last year on his contract. If he's not good this year, play calling wise, and as a head coach, then he's gonna get canned at the end of the year. But the offense has just been boosted completely. We have so many receiving threats, and Justin Fields is now. I'd like to reiterate that you said this is his last chance because when we talk about Trubisky and Matt Nagy inherited Trubisky. He didn't adhere to his skill set. When I watch Trubisky tape from college and I watch his play within the NFL, two completely different person. Matt Nagy always wanted him to play under center, wanted him to be a pocket passer. He didn't use his legs. Now Matt Nagy has his guy, and Matt Nagy has to let Justin Fields do whatever he wants on the offense because Justin Fields is skilled like that. And you were talking about how he compares. He wants that offense that he had in Kansas City. I've seen him come out and say that he wants to run the 2017 Kansas City offense where Andy Dalton is starting and possibly Justin Fields has the potential to step up later on in the season. But what happened in 2017 is Alex Smith had his best passing year. He was passing just completely deep bombs. That's what the whole offense was molded in the 2017 offense. It was just deep bombs, Tyreek Hill, just going straight and running on a line and catching every ball. So I think that we have that sort of core within our core right now. And if we can run that 2017 Kansas City offense, I'd just be amazed. But this is Matt Nagy's last leg. If he does not step up this year, he's gone.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, he's on the hot seat. I think Ryan Pace proved himself with how he's been doing
Yeah,
in the free agency.
he
Besides
definitely
the whole
boosted his
Kyle
stock.
Fuller thing, but besides the Kyle Fuller thing, which was sort of a bummer. But
Mm-hmm.
in the past two drafts in free agency and the Robert Quinn thing,
Mm-hmm.
he's been relatively solid for us, and he's been learn. I mean, he's still a young GM, and
Yeah,
he's learning, and he's shown improvement throughout each year after year. So I still think Ryan Pace earned himself a few more years, or at least one or
mm-hmm.
two more years with the Bears. Matt Nagy's on the hot seat. I hope, if he does bad, that we would can him mid-season because I want to see if Sean Desai is a good defensive coordinator. I want to see how he steps in to the interim head coaching role and see if he actually does
And then
anything to
Bill
beat this
Lazor stepping into that offensive coordinator
team.
full role when he can play call.
So, because if that works, then we can sort of focus on this instead of us carrying Matt Nagy at the end of the season, and then us saying, oh, what if we actually put Sean Desai
Mm-hmm.
in, which would be bad because we didn't test it out mid-season. So I mean, this all depends on Matt Nagy. No excuses. He has to coach right. He has everything he needs. This is all on him.
Agreed. Now we're gonna start our new series, the core rank series, and the first skill position that we have this week is we're gonna be talking about running backs. So we're gonna be comparing the running back room of the Bears to the divisional rivals in the NFC North. We're gonna be comparing them to the Packers, the Lions, and the Vikings. And I have sort of a hot take, as I've been told that I think we have the best running back room. And when I say running back room, I'm not saying David Montgomery is the best running back in the league. I think Montgomery is 10, like ranked in the 10th range for running backs. I think there's a couple people that are obviously solidified better than him, like Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry. Those are a tier above Monty, and I know that. But I think he's in the same tier as players like Eckler and Joe Mixon. I think he's a top 10 running back, towards the 10 range. but I think our running back core is pretty good. And when you compare it to the rest of the division, I think we're on top, honestly.
I mean, hold on. Let me just say that the NFC North as a whole has
It's the
the
best.
running back.
It's the best running back
Yeah,
division, other than the
it's
NFC
the best
East,
running back. Arguably,
or
maybe
arguably.
the
Mm-hmm.
NFC East. Well, everyone in our division has a solid running back group. Running back group. I don't think, as much as I want to be biased
Mm-hmm.
and say, oh, we have the best running back, the running back group in our division. I don't think that's true. For one, Montgomery is not the best, not even the best running back in our division.
Mm-hmm.
Dalvin Cook is in our division easily
That's
better
true.
than Montgomery. Aaron Jones is better than David Montgomery. And then also that you have, not only is Aaron Jones with the Packers, they also have AJ Dillon who looks like a demon
Mm-hmm.
with based off of how he played in college. I mean, dude was second overall, so he's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But having him as your running back two behind Aaron Jones, who's a demon, I think that exceeds our running back room
Mm-hmm.
because you have Aaron Jones, who's better than David Montgomery. You have AJ Dillon, who's better than I want to say
I
Jonathan
think
Taylor,
Tariq Cohen is better than AJ Dillon, but they're in
but
the same tier. They're close.
well. The thing is that they're not the same type of They're
Yeah,
not the same type of running
they're
back.
very different.
Air,
Tariq Cohen is a
Montgomery,
receiving back,
Montgomery,
and
yeah.
he's not a bell cow.
AJ Dillon's more of the Montgomery type,
Mm-hmm.
or the Damian Williams type,
Yeah,
which is both of them
somewhere
where
in
it's
that
like the
range.
power guy and they just power through. Aaron Jones can do it all though.
That's
Aaron
true.
Jones is a freak running back. He can do it all. I think they have a better running back room than us.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Vikings have a better. I think honestly the Vikings have the best running back room only because Dalvin Cook is carrying it.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
do have Alexander Madison. He had some good games. He had some bad games,
Mm-hmm.
but he's running back too. And in some games he's proven himself to go over I don't know 80 yards. I
Mm-hmm.
think he had
I
maybe
think
100 yards.
he had when he stepped in for Dalvin Cook last year and like in mid game he had a good game, but then the next
Yeah,
game when he had to be running back one for the game he didn't do well at all. So I'm not too high on Alexander Madison, but I think
but
I could understand.
Dalvin
Dalvin
Cook
Cook's
is a
one of the best.
freak of nature.
Dalvin Cook's
Yeah,
like a top
one of the
five running
best running
back
backs in the league.
guaranteed.
So I think the Vikings have the best
Mm-hmm.
running back group in the NFC North, and I think it goes. So I think it goes Vikings, Packers, Bears, then the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Lions have a good running back. I think they have potential to be uh, a top 2, 3 running back group
Yeah.
in our division because DeAndre Swift is of course a rookie last year. He showed flashes. He looks like he's going to be a good running back. I like DeAndre Swift, and they also got Jamal Williams, who I think was a solid free agent pickup for the Lions. So that's a good 1-2 punch over
Mm-hmm.
there. Do they still have Adrian Peterson?
I don't think they have Adrian Peterson.
Did he leave? I don't know.
I think that might have been last year. I didn't see him on the depth chart. I saw Jamal Williams on the depth chart.
So all right, then
And
I
DeAndre
don't know
Swift,
about
that's
that. But even then, they are less. But their running back room is still better
it's
than
still
like
good, yeah. So it's
it's
definitely better than a
still
lot of
very
teams.
good.
The running back rooms in the NFC North are insane. My reasoning is David Montgomery's a top 10 running back, but then you have Tariq Cohen, who's also a pretty solid receiving back. He didn't have a good 2019 year, but we had a bottom 5 offense. I'm thinking in mind that our offense is going to I think our offense is going to be much better than it was last year because our
Yeah.
offense was still a bottom 10 offense last year. I think with the additions of all these offensive linemen and Justin Fields will boost the play. I think Tariq Cohen will have a great year. Yeah, even though he's coming back from an ACL tear, I think that Tariq Cohen is better than AJ Dillon, but obviously Aaron Jones is better than David Montgomery. But then what comes in is Damian Williams. Damian Williams having in that third down back, that type of ability. I think that the Packers don't have that sort of depth. You saw that within the San Francisco 49ers game when they had both their running backs out and they had no depth at all. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't do anything against an injured San Francisco defense. So I think that we have the greatest depth, and that's my reasoning. But obviously, Dalvin Cook is the best running back in the
Yeah,
division.
I think we have solid depth, but
Mm-hmm.
in terms of running back room with actual how good the running backs are, Vikings easily take it with Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook just carries it.
If I were
Um,
to rank
and
the
Alexander
starting
Madison
running
is solid
backs,
depth.
yeah,
Yeah,
Dalvin Cook's number 1.
yeah,
Aaron Jones is number 2. Monty 3. Swift 4. That's my
I
ranking.
agree. No,
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's how it is 100%. And yeah, we might have solid depth, but I mean Tariq Cohen's not a better runner than AJ Dillon, but
Mm-hmm.
he is a better pass catcher than AJ
That's
Dillon
true.
is. Damian Williams, we don't know if AJ Dillon's a better runner or Damian Williams a better runner.
Damian Williams
But
is
Damian
in the
Williams
pass catching
is
game as well. That's what he was
yeah,
with the KC
he's in the pass
offense.
catching
So,
game, and he's also a speedster running back.
mhm.
The dude runs pretty fast. I want to say he's like too much of a speedster, but the dude runs very fast.
No.
I think Aaron Jones still beats Damian Williams in terms of speed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Aaron Jones beats Terry Cohen in terms of pass catching.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think Aaron Jones is just a better running back than any running back that we have. But I also think Dalvin Cook is just a freak. That's why I have it in that
Mm-hmm.
order: Vikings, Packers, Bears, then Lions. But I have hope that Montgomery can be, or I have faith,
Mm-hmm.
because Montgomery is an extremely good quarterback. But offensive line play is
Running
all
back.
running back. Well, offensive line play, I'm just thinking about Justin Fields.
Yeah, I can't stop thinking about him either. Yeah.
Um, but David Montgomery offensive line is a big play for running backs, and we know Green Bay has one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
That's true.
Which translates to probably why AJ Dillon did good against the Titans against a horrible defense. And
Hey, he
Aaron
averaged
Jones
124 yards rushing when
Yeah.
he gets over 5 carries. Man, I don't know. He's
So-
kind of a demon.
but David Montgomery has with our offensive line and putting the sets that he put,
That's
he
true.
has the potential to be in a top 5 back. I'm not saying he is a top 5 back. I do think he's in the bottom top 10 back conversation. But Dalvin Cook, they had a horrible offensive line, and the dude was still putting up like top 2 running back numbers.
Yeah, he was. I think he was second in rushing behind
So
Derrick
so
Henry.
easily takes the cake.
Mhm.
Easily takes the cake. So the Vikings have the best. running
I can
back.
understand that. Maybe I'm just a little bit hopeful, and I like
Yeah.
the moves that Pace has done, like adding to the running back room. Khalil Herbert in the 6th round, I believe. Getting C.J. Marable undrafted, getting Damian Williams on the 1-year contract. I'm hoping that we have one of the best running back rooms, but you also have to compare it against the fact maybe that's just me being biased in that the NFC North has some of the best running backs in the entire league.
Yeah. I think people are sleeping on Khalil Herbert a bit too, because
True.
Khalil Herbert was also like around 4, around 5 projection
Mm-hmm.
as running back. The only problem why he dropped was because of his age.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, he's
I mean,
23.
the dude is fast, and the dude can juke out while he's running full speed. So that dude also has potential of being a really good depth piece, if anything, like a running back 3 to take over Damian Williams next year. So hopefully, or next season after this season. So hopefully our running back room we do have solid depth. Or hopefully
We do.
running back room does get better with Montgomery, be a better Terry Cohen, showing that he is how he is back in 2018. And Khalil Herbert stepping into that speedster running back position over Damian Williams. But if Dalvin Cook's still with the Vikings, Aaron Jones is still with the Packers for like 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
All hopes is on David Montgomery, and I want to be biased, but it's hard.
No, I feel it. I'm very hopeful with this new revamped O line. That Monty will have more holes to get through. You saw that in the second half of the last season when the O line was revamped, he just got through. He found the holes because the holes were made for him, and he was a receiving threat, and he was a running threat. Everything lined up in place for him. When Cody Whitehair was able to line up at his true position, or the position that he's best at guard, we saw that there were more holes for Monty overall, and the offensive line was just boosted. So I'm hopeful for Tevin Jenkins coming in on day 1 and stepping up. I'm hopeful that I think Larry Borom or Jermaine Ifedi will line up at right tackle, someone of that like nature. But I think the O-line is going to be boosted this year. I think that when we don't have a statue in the pocket in Nick Foles, that the run game will be better, because if teams know exactly what you're going to do, that's terrible for the offense altogether. So I think that more volume, obviously Monty, he was the bell cow last year because our running backs were so thin. I think he'll get less of the work, which will be nice, but I still think he'll have that top tier production.
I think he'll still get the same amount of work. I think what the less of the work comes down to is Cohen's rushing, goes to Damian Williams. I think Cohen's going to be more used as a pass catching back,
Mm-hmm.
and if anything, they'll use him every once in a while, and that as a during some running plays. But I don't see him being involved in the running game as much anymore, especially since we got Damian Williams coming in now. Because I mean, if we're 3rd and 1, I'd rather have David Montgomery go in.
Yeah.
If we're 1st and 10, I'd rather have David Montgomery go in.
Mm-hmm.
If we need David Montgomery to take a break, I'd rather have Damian Williams go in, and I'd rather have Tariq Cohen stay out in that
Receiver formation.
receiver formation for the running backs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's honestly how I see it. I mean, it's not like our receiving group is our running back group is bad. We
Mm-hmm.
had to have an amazing running back group. I think Khalil Herbert will step up, and you like CJ Marable, so
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how we do.
I also really like Khalil Herbert, so I'm hoping that all those
Yeah.
guys step up towards this next season. Now let's talk about Matt Nagy's press appearances. He's been going on a tour. He went on the Rich Eisen show. He went on Colin Cowherd's show. He's been going all around because he knows that he just had one of the best picks, and he knows that he possibly, if Justin Fields is decent, that he secured himself an extension on his job.
I mean, did you see him on the Colin Cowherd show? The dude was smiling.
He was smiling. He was so happy.
He was so happy.
And it's funny because he was, if they called him maybe like a week ago, he probably would have just had like sulking eyes. Like he would have been so sad, or just like because or like he knows that he's on the hot seat. Yeah. He was on the hot seat until this draft.
I've never seen Matt Nagy that happy before.
Yeah, me neither.
Matt Nagy was so happy. I mean, I don't blame him too. He got his quarterback. Justin Fields fell to us, and we traded up and we were able to get him. And we got an offensive line, we got offensive pieces for him, and we have a solid running back group for him. So he doesn't have any excuses. Something I did like that the Bears did was when we were drafting a quarterback, because we still have Andy Dalton on our roster, and he's our quarterback one supposedly. We don't know yet if what happens during the off season or preseason. So we'll see what happens there. They called Andy Dalton beforehand. And they told him, "Hey, we're planning on getting a quarterback." And Andy Dalton was like, "All right, I'm cool with it. Fine." You know, it's all like it is what it is. Like he was fine with it. They respect Andy Dalton enough to call him, but then they don't respect Aaron Rodgers enough to tell him we're gonna get a quarterback.
It's kind of funny because Aaron Rodgers is literally the franchise guy. He's the MVP, and Andy Dalton hasn't played one snap for the Bears, so that's kind of funny.
He came in he's been here with us for like a few months. Not even.
It's like mid-March. That's it. Yeah.
We're already respecting this dude in the quarterback position more than Green Bay does Aaron Rodgers. But I thought that was good sportsmanship by the Bears, warning him that, hey, we're planning on taking a quarterback, and then Andy Dalton being fine with it and be like, hey, I can help you mold this guy. I'll help teach. I'll help be that veteran presence, because I think Andy Dalton knows he's an old guy. He doesn't have that many more years in the NFL. It'll be hard for him to be a starter in the league since he doesn't have that athletic ability and as he did back in the past. So I like that Andy Dalton was well with it. We went well with it, and I just like what we did with it.
No, I agree. And to go back, Matt Nagy, he was grinning ear to ear when he was on all of these shows. And it's funny because he's never done this before, or he's never gone, maybe in the beginning when he got hired, but he hasn't gone from news station to news station talking about how excited he is, because he doesn't do that. He doesn't do pressers like that. But I think him doing this just shows goodwill, or how excited he is for this upcoming season. He has his offensive pieces. He has his quarterback in Justin Fields. He was talking on the Colin Cowherd show, and he said he talked with OSU coach Ryan Day, and Ryan Day called Justin Fields a generational prospect, and Matt Nagy said that stuck with him. And he was happy the way that the board fell, because obviously Justin Fields should not have fallen that far. But Matt Nagy also has his guy. With Trubisky, he could not adhere to his play style. He couldn't form Matt Nagy's offense. Matt Nagy's called an offensive guru, but now is a true year to know if he is. I still don't think he's an offensive guru, but now is the year to wonder the question, or to prove himself. He had that good offense in 2018, but the last 2 years just regressed completely. So he has to show. He said he's going to be play calling, so he has to show that he can mold the offense to Justin Fields. And he's pretty much on his last leg, but I like that he's going out and talking about how much he likes Justin Fields. And I don't know if Justin Fields will start day one, because as before, he would like to run that 2017 Kansas City offense. But I'm hopeful that as time goes on, Justin Fields begins to prove himself in camp and can start day one.
So hopefully I do too. I really want Justin Fields to start day one.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the whole Trubisky and Matt Nagy thing is that Matt Nagy had to. He inherited Mitchell Trubisky pretty much
Mm-hmm.
because Mitchell Trubisky was Ryan Pace and John Fox's quarterback. So I don't even think John Fox wanted
Yeah,
Trubisky either.
Fox
John
wanted
Fox,
Watson.
yeah, he
They didn't
wanted
tell
Watson.
him.
It was just Ryan Pace.
That's actually kind of crazy when you think about it. They didn't tell the head coach who they were drafting on draft night.
Yeah, which is something that I said. Ryan Pace is growing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he talked to all the coaches. He even said publicly, he's like, "I know, it was a mistake to draft Mitchell Trubisky and go behind everyone and do it. And I'll talk with all the coaches and I'll work with them to draft this next quarterback or whatever first round pick we get."
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really good. That shows that he's growing as a GM, and that he knows that, oh, I'm an actual NFL GM and I can talk
Yeah,
with
he's
other
definitely
people for
growing.
support. Yeah, so I thought that was good. I didn't think Matt Nagy liked Mitchell Trubisky, like you said. Um, I think he inherited Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky didn't adhere to the things Matt Nagy wanted as a quarterback, and so I that's what led to Mitchell Trubisky's failure. When you said um, Justin Fields was, or when Matt Nagy was talking about Ryan Day about Justin Fields, and he said he was a generational prospect, and that stuck with Matt Nagy for a year. That stuck with him during the entire season.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means in his mind he's talking to Mr. Trubisky about this play, but in his mind he's like, I'd rather have Justin Fields be my quarterback. Just go out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So just
And
do
now he
this.
got it. He got it. He
Yeah,
got
I
his
mean he
guy.
got his quarterback now. So yeah, he's on that hot seat. He has to prove himself. He doesn't have any more excuses. Um, there's not really much more to talk about this
That's
than
true.
Matt Nagy just has to prove himself. He has weapons now. So moving on from that, I just want to talk about with Matt Nagy on how he was talking about just some of the draft room footage. Something that I really liked was the Thomas Graham Jr. The
Oh,
call when they called
that
him.
call was funny. Yeah.
That made me so happy because I mean I told you guys before I like Thomas Graham Jr. I think he's gonna be my diamond in the rough type player. When hearing him, the excitement with him and his family, they're just all yelling immediately.
Yeah.
He was like, "Are you ready to be a Chicago Bear?" And then just immediate yelling, and
Mhm.
it went on for a few minutes, and then it quieted down, and then like the mom or the sister's like, where are you going?" And he's like, "Chicago Bears," and they all start yelling again, and so that made me happy. I like that a lot. I like that type of energy. I like when people are excited like that because especially we saw Justin Fields was he wasn't. People said he looked sad,
Mhm.
but he was mad that he dropped
Mhm.
and to be the fourth quarterback. I mean, there was a video that shows him saying, "I'm done talking. I'm
Oh
not talking
yeah,
anymore.
I saw that.
It's time to work."
Ohio State uploaded a video and it's the
Mhm.
behind the scenes
Yeah,
draft day. And so you see the call and Matt Nagy saying, "Are you ready to be a Bear?" And towards the end, he says, "Yeah, there's not much time for talking." And he says that it hasn't hit him really that he's going to the Chicago
yeah,
Bears. So that there's no people were saying, "Oh, he's sad because he's going to a team that kills quarterbacks." He was doubted. He shouldn't have dropped that far, and it just didn't hit him. And
it gave me
he looked
MJ vibes.
excited when he put on the hat and he smiled. But
Yeah,
what do the people want from him? Do they want him to be grinning from ear to ear, jumping around? Like
I mean, he
that's
was
just not his
dancing.
personality.
He was dancing after he got that call.
Hmm.
And he gave me MJ Last Dance vibes, where he's like, "I'm done talking. It's
Yeah.
time to work." They gave me like Michael Jordan Last Dance vibes. So hopefully it can be as great as Michael
Yeah.
Jordan was in the
Hmm.
NBA. But like you said, it was like in that moment he was mad that he was passed up by a lot of teams.
Hmm.
But then like right after you see him dancing, he's happy. He's like, "Hey, it's just starting to hit me. I was nonchalant before, that's why I was nonchalant, but now it's starting to hit
Hmm.
me." And then he's taking out his phone, doing like Insta videos, doing like Twitter videos. He's like,
Hmm.
"Shy Bears, bear down, what's up?" And he's extremely happy. So the dude's, I mean, he's drafted into the NFL in the
Hmm.
first round,
Yeah. How can you
so
not
he's
be
he's
happy?
still very happy. And I mean, when you look at him now, so you know, let's move on to Justin Fields now.
Hmm.
So when you look at him now, that he's on Instagram, he's always just and he's working out with Marquise
He's
Goodwin right
working
now.
out
He's
only in
always
Bears gear. He's posting so many videos of him in
yeah,
Bears gear. There was the right after he got drafted, he took a 6 a.m. flight to Chicago and he went to Soldier Field's house hall, took a bunch of pictures, and then the past week he just has been posting about the Chicago Bears all the time, and it really like hit me when I looked at his Twitter page or his profile, and it says quarterback for the Chicago Bears, and his
Yeah.
his header is him holding up his jersey, and I seriously just still can't believe it. Like it just hit me.
Dude, it's insane. I mean, because we've never had a quarterback as
Never.
good as him coming with us drafting him.
Hmm.
Mitchell Trubisky was technically the best quarterback we've ever drafted before.
Yeah, because Cutler, we didn't draft
We didn't
Cutler.
we, we didn't draft Cutler,
Yeah,
and
we
Rex
traded.
Grossman was bad. He wasn't
Hmm.
the reason why we went to the Super Bowl. It was our defense and our running backs why we went to the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
But Mitchell Trubisky didn't have that type of mindset. Even when he was coming in 2017, he didn't have that type of mindset. He wasn't as he didn't fly out 6 a.m. to the Bears and start working out with our receivers. No, Justin Fields was there to work as soon as he got drafted. As soon as he got drafted, he's like, I'm all right. I'm calling A-Rob, Marquise,
Oh, I saw
Monty.
that he linked up with Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah, he linked up with
Uh,
Marquise Goodwin, throw balls. He's like, hey, what are we gonna throw? What are we gonna practice?
that makes me so excited, dude.
That makes me very happy.
And I wasn't a Bears fan, or I didn't watch football, but when we drafted Trubisky, but I've been seeing that you would be here to say that the difference in levels of excitement are completely different. It's like night and day. Where
Yeah, because listen, in 2017, I want to say like 60% of our organization was like, this is a weird pick.
yeah, people
Like
want to
everyone,
watch him.
everyone was like uneasy if this was actually a good pick or not.
Hmm.
And then there was 40% who didn't really watch too much college, but they told me he was the first quarterback off the board. So like, oh, he's going to be a solid quarterback. But this Justin Fields, this is a pick that 100% of people are saying is a good
Hmm.
pick. Like, there's no debate. This is an
And
amazing
even
pick.
even if he doesn't pan out, you still can't go back and say this was the wrong pick. There's
Yeah.
no way. There's no way you can do that.
What, you're gonna say? Oh, we could have drafted Mac Jones over Justin Fields?
Yeah,
No, Mac Jones.
that
Mac Jones.
would be wrong.
Yeah, that's completely wrong. And at number 11 too, Justin Fields was supposed to go third.
Hmm.
So getting it at
You're
number
supposed to
11,
go second, honestly.
or second, yeah.
Yeah.
So getting him at number 11, and then people were like, "Oh no, you got to get Mac Jones." We're not saying that's what people are saying in the
Yeah.
future if Justin Fields
It's
doesn't
just
work
yeah.
out. If people are saying, "Oh, Mac, you guys could have gone Mac Jones," no one knew
No.
Mac Jones was going to be, he's going to be a good quarterback, that good of a quarterback.
If we're gonna compare it back then, Justin Fields is the Watson of the draft because
Yeah.
Watson is the established quarterback in a competitive division, and other quarterbacks that got drafted, like say Trey Lance or Zach Wilson, those are the 1 year full starters that they're the Trubisky's. I'm not saying that their career will pan out to be Trubisky's, but in comparison, they are the Trubisky's, and then he is the Watson. He's established. He was a Heisman candidate. Was Trubisky a Heisman candidate? No. Like you can't say that this was the wrong pick. It's impossible. You know, Mac Jones may have a great career because he's going to the Patriots, and that is a great system for him. But there's no reason for you to say that this was the wrong pick. It's impossible.
No, yeah, I agree. Because I mean, if it doesn't work out, this isn't on Ryan Pace.
Mm-hmm.
But Trubisky one was on Ryan Pace. Everyone's acknowledging Ryan Pace because it was crazy that he was able to get this pick, and he was also able to get Tevin Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly believe, I'm a Bulls fan, and the Bulls got Arturas Carniceova. I don't know how to say his name.
Arturas Carniceovas, something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Ever since he came to Chicago, both organizations have been making some solid free agency pickups.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he talked to Ryan Pace and gave him some advice, but Ryan Pace is doing really good in free agency, and it's not on him if Justin Fields does bad, because everyone's expecting Justin Fields to do good. He's proven himself in college, like you said, more than almost any other college quarterback.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
like just going back on the excitement, like he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Like he has to know that he can be a legend. He has to know that this is a football city. In my opinion, this is a football city more than a basketball city. Like people are still talking. MJ brought 6 championships to the city, and he's like the biggest figure. But people are still talking about 1985. And how many years ago was that? People are still talking about the 1985 Bears because the Bears won a championship. If this guy brings 1 championship to the city, he's already a legend because he's homegrown. So I hope he has to know that not that there's so much pressure upon him, but that he has the ability to become a legend very quickly.
No, I agree. We're all banking on Justin Fields. I really hope it does work out.
Hmm.
Um, the one thing that Bears in general have for the future is that we're all a young team. Because Justin Fields is 22, but then we also have a lot of young talent too. We have Jalen Johnson, who's 22. We have Cole Kmet, 22. Tevin Jenkins, Mooney, and Montgomery, and James Daniels are all 23. And Bilal Nichols is 24. So and Roquan's 24 too. So that's extremely solid, and that's extremely solid base for Justin Fields to mold around a team. So I mean, Justin Fields doesn't have an excuse either, and he's had that notoriety. He was in QB1,
Hmm.
Lights, whatever that TV show.
Yeah, yeah. The
I
QB
forget
one,
what
yeah,
it's called.
QB one. Something. So,
I watched it. Though. I watched that season with him,
I
and
need to rewatch it. Or not rewatch. I need to watch. I watched the first episode.
it didn't take me that long because I just skipped like the other people. There's like real.
Oh yeah, I'm tempted to do that. I might.
I just skipped it to Justin Fields parts, and it didn't take me that long. But because he was the number one high school or the number one prospect in football
Mm-hmm.
in high school once he won the Elite 11 championship. He beat Trevor Lawrence to be the number one prospect after the Elite 11 championship. So he's had that hype since high school,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it's crazy that we got him.
I still can't believe it.
Yeah,
And looking at that, the young core that we have, people like to talk about how the Bears have some of the oldest players, but this is the different year the most. We have so many veterans that are coming in on these cheap contracts. We have a defense that is effective but still aging, and even on our defense, we have some core young pieces. We have Eddie Jackson. We have Eddie Jackson. We have Jalen Johnson. We have Bilal Nichols. We have core
One,
pieces that are young on the defensive side too, and just building all this around Justin Fields is just insane for the future. And I think that Justin Fields being at center, we could make a deep playoff run very soon. If
oh yeah, I agree.
it's
Yeah, I
all
agree.
dependent, it's all dependent on him.
It is all dependent on him, but it's also all dependent on Matt Nagy too.
That's true.
If he can get work with Justin Fields and get a good system out of him, um, then I think we'll be a playoff team for years.
Yeah.
We'll be a threat
We
in the
got to we
NFL
got to operate on this contract though. We have to
we
get
do,
in tune very quick because
because
5 years
we have
goes
a lot of
quickly.
we have a lot of young talent, and they've all actually proven themselves. Jalen
Hmm.
Johnson proved himself. Monty proved himself. James Daniels proved himself. Bilal Nichols proved himself last year.
Hmm.
Quan proved himself. So those are all big contracts when we're gonna have to pay those guys out. And then Justin Fields, if he proves himself and Tevin Jenkins proves himself,
Oh, that's gonna be fat, man. Like, what, in a couple years, 40 million? No, actually more like 50 million. If we're thinking in a couple years, that's gonna be crazy. Well, the salary cap's gonna be much bigger.
if Justin Fields lives up to the hype, he's getting like one of
He's
those
he's getting that number one contract.
Mahomes contract where it's like 10 years, like 600 million,
Yeah,
something
he's gonna
crazy.
get something along those lines if he pans out because this is the position that the city has struggled at for 100 years. So if we can get him and he lives up to the hype, the sky's the limit.
Sky is the limit. I agree. So I mean, there's not that much that happened within this week for
Hmm.
the Chicago Bears. Of course, we just came out of the draft, so everything's sort of dying down. Hopefully, it starts picking back up when camps start coming back. So, but I think this is what's going to conclude for this episode today. Um, so thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, you guys like listening to everything. We'll get you guys some more news in the next week's podcast. If anything new comes up, hopefully something big comes up in free agency. We still got a lot of holes that we need to solve, and we'll probably talk about that more in the next week as well. So thank you guys for watching.
Thanks. Take care.